Hello, I'm Kara Franker, and welcome to the May 2023 update for Visit Estes Park. We're going to talk about marketing and our community involvement and give you all of the things. So I will get right into this and share my screen. So summer is upon us, high season, and that's exciting. Also wanted to look at some national data and trends. I think this is always interesting to see what's going on. This is from the Morning Consult. We're heading into peak travel season and travelers are trying to decide where they're going to stay. And so it's interesting as you talk about vacation rentals versus hotels. Vacation rentals must work harder to attract older travelers is what they're saying. So that's interesting. Gen Z and millennials, they're more likely to stay at a rental than older travelers and baby boomers in particular are underrepresented. So given their spending power, they're saying brands should look for ways to engage them, especially during the busy summer months. And then hotels can lean into flexibility to attract travelers, knowing that the possibility of changing plans is an issue for folks. Flexible booking options are a way to capture some of those folks. And then here we're looking at booking windows because as you probably know, during COVID, the booking window started to shrink quite a bit. And so this is looking at the fact that people may be looking farther in advance these days. So they're saying the share who said they book accommodations within 3 months of travel is down 3 points compared with October 2021. However, the path to purchase is not the same for all travelers and booking windows vary, of course. So, and baby boomers like to plan ahead. Also, so talking about flexibility, the younger and high income folks they're willing to pay more for flexibility. So if that means that they have the ability to make some changes or cancel, then they're willing to pay more. So just some interesting little tidbits from Morning Consult to be aware of. And then this says that volume overall has decreased for those who are heading to a chain hotel. Now that's particularly interesting for Estes since we don't have a lot of chain hotels. So this is interesting to take a look at. And then they have it divided there too by region and by community, by household income and by generation. So just think some of these stats are fascinating to look at. And then as far as who's booking vacation rentals, they're saying that overall volume has increased since last summer. And then that audience includes more Gen Zers and low income travelers than it did last year when the skew was much more heavily millennial and still with those same demographic breakdowns. Just kind of interesting to take a look at all of that from a national scale. And then with summer in view, vacation rental plans are rising. This summer of 2023 promises higher shares of travelers staying in rental properties. So that is very interesting. And then the increase is coming at the expense of chain hotels, with the share of travelers planning to stay at one is 11 points lower. That's quite a bit than it was this time last year. And then independent and boutique properties have held steady over time, though their slice of the pie remains small. And then just over a third of travelers will save money by crashing with family and friends. And it would make sense that Gen Zers are more likely to do that because they're probably trying to save money. This is another source from Destination Analysts. They're saying that 57% of travelers are expecting a recession in the next 6 months, but their expectations for financial prospects have been trending upwards. So it's kind of always this like give and take, like with the recession I feel like over the past year, the recession or not the recession, like what's going to happen? Nobody ever really knows, but it's still in everybody's minds. And then excitement about traveling in the next 12 months for leisure is high. So that trend is consistent across all of the regions. I'm sure that will be the same for us as well. And then, but travel sentiment itself has dipped a little bit, even though future travel sentiment is up slightly from a year ago. And then they are saying that the travel booking window is just over 10 weeks, with 70% beginning to plan within 12 weeks or less of their trip. And, we just had our board meeting and some of our board members were saying, no, it's a lot less for us. So that'll be interesting as we monitor that. I think just the more data that we can take a look at, looking at these trends, seeing if it applies to us, if it doesn't, just makes us smarter and able to boost our business better. Longwoods, they're saying that transportation costs, we are a heavy drive market. and that transportation costs continue to greatly impact decisions on whether people are going to hit the road. I think they're still going to hit the road this summer to Estes Park. I know that you're probably optimistic about that as well. And then 72% have taken a leisure road trip in the last 12 months. And then, of course, people like to travel with their family and friends. To me, that's kind of like of course, yes, people like to travel with their family and friends. As far as really kind of zoomed in information about the Estes Valley in particular. So it's been a while since Visit Estes Park has done this, but we did launch an in-person visitor intercept study. So we brought in the folks from RRC, and then what they did is they surveyed folks starting during Frozen Dead Guy days in person with an iPad. They asked some questions, and that continued for a month. And so some of the questions were Frozen Dead Guy Day specific, and then they completed 476 of the surveys. And then they also were asked to provide an email address, because you can only talk so much to somebody when you're right there face to face. So if there's anybody who really wanted to give us more information, we're glad that they did. There was 90 of those folks. So they mailed in post-visit surveys as well. So if you just take a picture with your phone of this QR code, you can get the entire survey. It's very interesting. There's really interesting information in there too about income. It looks like we're skewing pretty high as far as it comes to folks that are visiting here when it comes to how much money they make, which I know Estes Park has traditionally thought of themselves, or a lot of people tell me you've thought of yourselves as a budget destination. So it's just kind of interesting, and maybe it's just different for who's taking the survey. So take a dive into this. This is really interesting stuff. I'll give you some of the highlights. 1 in 4 visitors to Estes Park reported it was their first time. And then of course they're coming from our Colorado communities, which we call our drive market. And that's because that's who we advertise to during Q1, those January, February, March, April time periods. We're trying to get those folks who are drive market. They're more likely to come up. And then with a lot of folks coming from the Front Range, about half of them were day visitors. 44% were staying overnight, and 4% were staying overnight farther away. And then they listed vacation, leisure, or recreation for the reason why they were coming. Makes sense. And then, the researchers are saying, based on what all of the answers, that Frozen Dead Guy days clearly bumped up visitation significantly in March. So that's really interesting. And we'll look at some of the town sales tax revenues as well, which are showing, I think it was 21% over in the lodging category. So hopefully what that means is that when Visit Estes Park does something like help promote Frozen Dead Guy days and implement a new experience for folks, that could have a real tangible effect on your business and boost it. They're saying 51% were traditional paid lodging, 28% were short-term rentals, and then they were spending 3 nights in Estes Park, which is good to know. And then this number is crazy to me. This is really, really high. I think this is abnormally high. It said that 93% strongly agree they will return for a future vacation. And you've heard me say this before, we call those folks loyalists. We love our loyalists. And once we know that they've been and they want to come back, then we keep marketing to them over and over again, because that's easier to get them to come back than it is just a new person. And we want folks that love Estes Park to keep coming back. So 93% folks, that's really good. It says a lot about you and your businesses as well. They're having a great time while they're in town. So thank you for providing an excellent visitor experience. More stuff here. People are spending money. They're dining out. They are shopping. They're doing special events and scenic drives, and they're looking at the elk, all stuff that you would expect. But these folks are saying that they did not plan that far ahead. They're saying they decided to visit within a month. So that tracks more with what some of my board members were saying about their properties, and not matching really what the national trend is of the booking window increasing. So I'm always curious to know what's going on if you're a lodger with your property, what you're seeing with your booking windows as well. I would love, I'm going to do this plug like every single time and probably throughout this presentation, if we could get everybody to give their occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR stats to Star Report or STR or to us, and we can give it to STR or some way we could figure it out, because then we could start to track occupancy and be really smart about moving money around. If we see any softening of the season, we could move our marketing dollars around to try to boost that booking for any softening. So I'm going to sell that day in and day out to try to get us to do that. And then Frozen Decade Days. So people came to go to Frozen Decade Days, and it was great to know that. Okay, switching gears. This is going to be me being super nerdy about technology and AI. And for some people, they're like, don't talk to me about AI. It's crazy and I don't want to know. And it's sorry, my dogs are barking. And it's going to destroy the planet. Maybe so, but also, this is one of those things that we can't just hide our eyes from. This is an important moment. This is going to change the way people do business. And historically, what I've seen, this is just my own anecdote here, the travel industry hasn't been on the forefront of when there's big technological advances. I think we have a real opportunity here. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about white labeling an AI robot for the Estes Valley, where we train it on how to promote what we want to promote. And we do it through a QR code that people could see at the airport. They could see it through our advertisements. They could go to the visitor center and see it. And we change the way we are analyzing our interactions. So let's say there's this organization that I'm looking at right now, Matador. They are the ones that do the really great adventure videos. They have decided to launch an AI program called Guide Geek. And what you can do, it's starting with WhatsApp, but it's going to go to Instagram messaging, Facebook messaging, and text messaging, and on your website, where you can talk, ask questions to the AI, but it's different, just a chatbot. It's like way more advanced. If you played with ChatGPT, you know a little bit. If you play with ChatGPT, you also know that it doesn't always give accurate information because it can only say what it's trained or can find. So imagine like a back end where Visit Estes Park staff and our business partners are putting in all of this information that we want folks to know when they're thinking about booking a trip to Estes Park. And you're asking, so somebody is like, okay, I want to go to Colorado and I want to go to the mountains. Where should I go? Well, we want the AI to say Estes Park. And then the AI will say back to you, this is already happening, by the way, on WhatsApp. The AI will say back to you, okay, well, if you want to come to Colorado, here are a few destinations. Let's say Estes Park is one of them. And then they say, oh, I think I'm interested in Estes Park. How far is that from Denver? And what kind of accommodations are available? And then it'll say, well, here are some accommodations, but what's your budget and what kind of experience are you looking for? Oh, I'm a family of 4 and we want to do some hiking. Like there's a conversation back and forth. It's like a glorified travel planner, travel advisor that we can train all of the stuff that we want to promote. And so, yes, I'm totally nerding out on this. I really hope that we can get the community interested, because what I think this does is we design the AI to drive bookings directly. We speak to folks while they're in market. For example, like push notifications, maybe there's an emergency and we could push notifications through to say, hey, avoid this area because there's a threat of a fire or closed road or construction or whatever it is. And then we are helping them because they're like, oh, I really want to have I want to see live music tonight. Where can I go? And it tells them immediately where to find live music. You're not like trying to Google and sort through blog posts and articles and calendars and all those things. It's just telling you. And then they had such a great experience. And then we're talking to them, you know, a month or 2 out and saying, oh, the mountains are calling. Are you going to come back? Here are some deals that some of the partners are offering. I mean, this could really change the way that we market, and we could be smarter and we could be very strategic about this. So Visit Estes Park is it's not gonna be perfect, you know, to roll this out in the beginning, because if you followed AI, there's glitches all over the place. But if we can get on the forefront, I wonder if there's a scenario where, because Estes Park is training it first, you know, they're like interconnected, like all the back. So even though we're training ours, I feel like they're all the computers are talking to each other. It's a conspiracy. It's got to be. But then if somebody shows up at the airport and they say, what kind of where could I go see the mountains? I don't really know where to go. I'm in Denver for a conference. What if it's because we've trained it on Estes Park, it promotes us over other destinations? What if? I don't know. The whole thing is, I think we got to try this. I think we're going to design our operating plan this next year kind of around this, and a new set of KPIs and call to actions on how we can drive bookings this way. If you're into this, and you want to nerd out with me about it, please let me know, because I think it's going to be really interesting. If you hate it, you can let me know too and think I'm crazy. Really appreciate everybody that experienced, totally switching gears. Really appreciate everyone who did Estes experiences with us. This was part of U.S. Travel Association's National Travel and Tourism Week. It was just really fun to give our local workers like the firsthand experience of being able to experience what visitors do around town. That was the whole point. We want to expand this. We thought it went really well. We want more of our workers to have that opportunity. We really appreciate the partners who provided offers for locals to experience things. And I'm thinking that this is something that we do, maybe, I don't know if it's year round or if we just expand it. I think more than a week is key. And it was great. So here's some photos around town of locals and workers experiencing different things. And the loop. Lots to say about the loop. What we're trying to do here is provide as much information to folks as possible because, of course, construction is always a little bit frustrating. But I feel like the more information that you have ahead of time or that you can figure out on the go, the better you as a visitor could potentially deal with it. So here are just some of the examples of what we're trying to do to make that information flow freely. On our website, we have a banner on the homepage. Love Nick Molay, and we are working with him on a video about what to know, how to plan ahead, and then just constantly kind of pushing out some information, also promoting some of our partners that maybe are affected a little bit more by the construction. And so we want to make sure that we're letting folks know that you're open. If you see anything that we can do better, please let us know. If you want kind of a list of all the things that we're doing to try to help with this flow of information, we have that. Rachel and my team has it and can send it to you. The other thing we're working on for our website is we want to improve the listings. We want clickable addresses, so it's just easy to find a map, phone numbers, so you can just call, photos, all of those things. So be ready for us to push for a rollout to really make sure that your business listing looks great. And then the other thing we want to do is really expand the options for businesses to advertise in whatever way you feel is best for your business. So while we do have our listings on our website, I don't believe we just like force those down people's throats, because you know better than I do of what works for you, and you can analyze your numbers and decide whether or not it does. A lot of people really like the listings and the advertisements, and they have a great ROI, rate of return, and they want to keep doing it. And that's great. So what we want to do is, besides just having the opportunity to advertise on our website, we want to bring in RevStream and Google and Expedia and TripAdvisor and have all of those options available on one day. So you can have like one-on-one appointments with each of those companies, and then you could pick and choose what you want to do and what works best for you and your business so that you get the highest rate of return. So we feel like it's our job to make sure the tools are there for you, and also that you don't feel like forced just to advertise on our website, because that's not really what we're trying to do here. We want your place to be full. We want you to make money. So whatever tools that we can provide to you to help you make more money, that's what we want to do. We'll send out the links to these. I'm not going to play it because I've noticed that my sound isn't going through on the computer when I try to play it. And so, but we've got some great videos with Nick Molay. We also have updated our Do Estes Right videos, including the parking and shuttle service, and also timed entry permit system, which is in full swing. And then just a look at our summer creative advertisements here. We have an Expedia landing page. We've got great bright photos. This mock-up in the middle is called a gamified unit, which is really cool. You can swipe and kind of interact with it. So just be on the lookout. Hopefully you may not see our ads because we advertise outside of the destination, of course, to get people in. But if anybody wants to do a deeper dive into that, just let me know. Really interesting numbers we had from our advertising spend with Expedia. So we did a campaign, and they track the actual bookings. These are not referrals. These are the actual bookings. And we're looking at 1,500 plus room nights booked with a gross booking of $1.1 million from that advertising spend. This is the stuff we want to see. We want to spend money where we know that it's making sense and it's helping boost our business. Interesting also on this travel window. So they're saying that nearly a third of Estes Park bookings are 3 months out when they're booking via Expedia. And then other interesting things there with the hotel bookings being only 1 to 2 days and VRBO bookings 3 to 5 days, which makes sense because when you're staying a little bit longer, you want a kitchen and things like that. But we always want to boost the amount of time people spend. Why? Because the more time they spend in the destination, the more money they spend and empty their pockets. So we want to boost that hotel booking from way longer than 1 to 2 days. We should at least get to 3. Duck race, such a fun annual event. Just wanted to show that we had a campaign that delivered quite a few clicks, and which was actually 5 times higher than the industry average. And then our top engaged markets were Denver, Colorado Springs, and Omaha. So always fun to promote this event to help with our community. Here is a top things to do in Estes Park blog post that Kendall on our team wrote. So if you'd like to take a look at it, if you'd like to, if it's helpful to give to your guests or folks that you're seeing, please do. We want to make sure we're giving out great content. And then of course, rodeo, we're so excited every year. Rodeo is such a fun event. We love it. I love it. My daughter loves it. So we just want to make sure that, you know, we're supporting it, we're promoting it. And we've got a press release that we sent out. It's fun that the parade is coming back. Whoa, this is big. This is big. This just came out. Condé Nast Traveler, a huge travel brand. This is editorial coverage. This is not an advertisement. They put us in their 7 small town getaways we love. This is such great media. And this is what happens when you have a really stellar combination of a PR, public relations strategy, plus you do ads, which don't necessarily guarantee you get editorial coverage. It never does. But when you have a healthy mix of things, I have found in my experience that you get better media hits. And I think this is a perfect example of that. So scan the QR code if you'd like to take a look at the article and see what other fun small towns across the country made it. Shout out to Bird and Jim and Rocky for those mentions. And the New York Times, same thing applies here. When you just can't get into the New York Times, like as we do on a regular basis, without really great relationships, a really great public relations strategy, and then, you know, smart ads for the kind of budget that we have. So really happy to see Trailborn promoted here as a new bargain lodge with rustic comfort in the heart of nature. Love to see that. Here's an example of Courtney Holden, who we hosted in town. She was part of a press trip or a FAM. And we love it when our reporters come in and mention a ton of different partners. You know, a lot of times you might be lucky if you get, you know, 2 or 3 or 4, but in this case, she happened to cover quite a few. Okay, big shout out to Vacation Land Guide. We're so happy to support this publication. As many of you may remember, we actually sunsetted our own publication to help support a local business, and Vacation Line Guide is now available. So that's wonderful to see. And then we've just been so busy. The team has been out and about doing a million different things, connecting with our partners and our community efforts. And so, like, I don't know if you want me to read all of this to you or not, if you are watching it, but the town and the chamber and the visitor center and the Estes Park Wedding Association and the EPNRC and Simpleview, and that's a big company. So I don't know if that's, oh, I guess at the visitor center, Simpleview came. The chamber again, and business after hours and coffee connections at the fire station, city to city tour presentation, the duck race, the EDC base camp graduation, pack up and go, olive trainings, Estes experiences, 17 stakeholder meetings. So we do this to just hold ourselves accountable. What we do here is we want to promote our community as a great place to live, work, and play. And so part of that is ingraining ourselves in the community. So that's why we report on that. And then our partner news, congrats to the bullpen. The new remodeled area looks fantastic. Welcome to Peak to Plains Guide Service, a new fly fishing outfitter. We're really excited about Waffle Mountain on Thursdays. I will be there. I'm going to be at Waffle Mountain eating waffles. Yes, that's going to happen. Venue on the Rocks, cool new wedding venue event venue at Coffee on the Rocks, that they're going to have a grand opening, which will be fun. And then just a heads up, Time Emporium Escape Room, they will be closed as they build out new escape rooms, just kind of until midsummer. And then congrats to Ride-A-Cart. Now you can drink at Ride-A-Cart. Very fun stuff. Thanks to everybody. We always want your news. It's great to share our businesses and what they're doing. Bustang. is back. For a minute, they were called elk staying, and then they went back to bus staying. I don't know if you heard the drama behind that, but we're happy that bus staying is back. Anytime we can send folks on a more sustainable way to travel around and avoid traffic is a good thing. And community cleanup, here is Rachel on my team with her husband, and then also John. They participated in the community cleanup day, and that's why there's a big pile of trash in that photo. But love it when the team is on the ground working hard. And then Beyond Summer, our Beyond program is something we work hard on the chamber with. We have toolkits for it. So we updated our summer events webpage. We're highlighting summer events. So if it's not too late, you can get in on the next round of that. And then we offer a toolkit to help folks increase the visibility. And then looking at the metrics for April, it's great. When we look at these every month, there's different businesses that pop out as the top performing offers, which is great. And it's like, we don't want to be the same one every single time. So congrats to Mountain Whitewater and Wild Ride, 4x4, Joe Pyle Photography, Aspen Winds, awesome. And then it looks like we had 118 total offers active, and then our click-throughs were over 1,700. Now you're looking at how many people have been to the visitor center in the month of April. And so it's about 1% more than last year. And then here's year to date. So we're looking at about 0.5% ahead of last year. Have you been into the visitor center recently? Have you played with our new kiosk in there? It's kind of fun to go in there and check that out. It's going to be really interesting to see how much play that it gets this summer when the visitor center is more busy, and to try to figure out, do we need to put another one in there? We might, who knows? Looking at lodging tax revenues for March year to date, we are down a little bit. So this is interesting. So even though the town was up on lodging category sales tax receipts, lodging tax revenue, which is just the amount from overnight room stays, the town, for their sales tax receipts, they're also looking at food and beverage at the property, retail sales, that kind of thing. So ours were a little bit down, and there may be some remitters still that have not turned in their sales taxes or their lodging taxes for, I think, the last few months. So we hope that that'll even out a little bit, but just showing you those numbers. And this is year to date, down a little bit, looks like 7.7%, kind of a significant amount. So what we're kind of trying to analyze here is, what does this mean? Does this mean that we need to change up our strategy? Does it mean that just naturally with the travel sentiment, the way things are going on a national scale, that folks are changing up what they're doing? Some have said, sentiment study wise, that people are now doing longer trips that they hadn't been doing because they were going to the outdoors, and now they're going to Europe or whatever. So a lot of talk out there about what that means. And here is a graph. The pink one is 2023, but there you see the seasons going back to 2018 and how that looks going forward. Oh, this is what this slide is what I was talking about with the town of Estes Park and their sales taxes. So the lodging category is highlighted, and that's where you see that they were up 21.99%. in the overall category. So this is a good thing. So like at first blush, it's like, oh, wow, if the lodging overnight stay is down, but everything else in the lodging category is high, that means we're still doing what we're supposed to be doing, because even though our tax revenue comes from the overnight stays, we're not just worried about that piece. We're worried about everybody making money, all kinds of businesses, and the hotels, whether that's their F&B or if it's going to a restaurant on site who also is a different entity. We want to boost everything: dining, retail, attractions, all the things. So it's just interesting to kind of dive into those numbers. This is also interesting. Look at this. This is our lodging tax collections by category. Vacation rentals really sticks out there in the middle with 55.4%. And then the two larger categories, large lodger, which are greater than 25 rooms, and small larger, less than, they're combined, they're coming in at less than that. So if you look at this giant chart here, and you look over to the right, at 2023 March year to date, know that all the rest of those dates are the full year. And when Mike, my CFO, started to dig into this, because look at that jump between 2022 and 2023 in the vacation rental category, 55.4%. And then look at how it's so much less for large and small lodger. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's staying at short-term rentals these days. It means they are for Q1. It does. So what we think will happen is that it evens out a little bit over the entire year. And traditionally, when you look back to previous years, when you look at just Q1, it's like we need a chart for just Q1. We don't have that. But when you look at just Q1, Mike did, he saw that vacation rentals were stronger for that time period. So just some interesting food for thought there. This is key data. This tracks the ADR, average daily rate, for overnight stays for short-term rentals. This is really interesting information. And what I would really love is if we could do this for the lodgers too. This is where I go back to my original plug at the beginning of this presentation of saying, hey, can we all get together and can we share our data with Smith Travel Research, STR, so that we can do these graphs also, so we can look at average daily rate for the lodging industry in general, and also vacation rentals. What it helps you do is it helps you look at what the average is and then decide if you are making enough money or are you reaching your highest potential based on what the average is. Should you raise your rates? Should you lower your rates? Visit Estes Park can never ever say one way or the other, but what we can do is provide you with the information for you to analyze for your own business. And this is occupancy. Now, yes, why does the blue line look like it's dropping off? Because that's December. So it doesn't mean that only 7% are going to stay in December. It means that's what's booked now and what we're looking at. Now, if we could look at occupancy for lodging as well, and we compare it with short-term rentals, we might see areas that are softening where we could move advertising dollars around and try to boost those periods to bring them back up to where we would like them to be. So please, will you work with me on this? Because I really, really think that this is an important initiative and it does require legwork on the part of very, very busy business owners and managers, because I know anytime we're asking you to do something extra, which it would be to share your data, it takes time and effort, but we want to try to figure out how to make it as easy for you as possible. I hope that you found this presentation informative. I hope that you have a great kickoff to your high season. If there's anything that I can do for you or any of my team at Visit Estes Park, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. And thank you so much for your time and attention.